It's not the same thing every time. It really depends on who I'm working with. I try to get inside of the head of the artist I'm working with, and the record has to be them. I don't go approach an artist and say, okay, this is the way I think your record should be. I just try to make what they're bringing better and just add whatever they're bringing, add my thing to whatever they're bringing. So I just try to get in touch with the artist, try to get in touch with their personality and what they're trying to do, and try to just take that to, to levels unheard of,
That's real talk.
That's just my thing. It's no set foundation or no set way of doing it. Just add my thing to what they have, and that's all it is to it. Eminem, I'm gonna add my thing to Eminem. Snoop, I can't go in the studio with Snoop in an Eminem state of mind, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
I just have to just be them almost, you know what I'm saying? That's what makes the projects come out so good.
System of a Down were a heavy band, you could say a heavy metal band, who didn't follow those rules. So they didn't have the rhythms that you'd hear in a typical, you wouldn't hear a Metallica rhythm, you'd hear a System of a Down rhythm, which was different, dun, 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 like different gallops and different, and it's rooted in their Armenian heritage. So they took elements from folk music and brought that into heavy metal. And I remember at the time, I'd never heard anything like it. And I can remember people, while there were those of us who loved them fanatically, people hated them.
Yeah.
People hated them. I can remember the big radio station in LA is K-Rock.
Yeah.
And Kevin Weatherly's the program director of K-Rock. And I remember him saying, System of a Down is a band we will never play on our station ever. 100%. I don't care what they're not, that doesn't fit on our station. And then a year later, it was the #1 band on the station.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. It's like, they clearly didn't fit, but they were so good that they transcended not fitting. And those are the artists that I like the best. Those are my favorite artists. The ones that they don't really fit anywhere. They're not another in this mold. Rage Against the Machine is another great example. It's like Rage Against the Machine, they don't sound like anyone. No one before Rage Against the Machine sounded like Rage Against the Machine. And a lot of people didn't like them for that reason. But those are the revolutionary bands. Those are the ones that changed the world.
Yeah, I made quite a few mistakes actually, and just picking the people I wanted to do business with, but I consider them positive mistakes because I learned a lot from those mistakes. And like I said in a couple of other interviews, you go through the worst times of your life before you get to the best times. A lot of stuff that was happening with me in the past was just, I've done a lot of stupid stuff. To be perfectly blunt, I just did a lot of stupid things. And I think it takes age and experience to realize that.
If it could be better, it's not done. Well, it's the best it can be. I've done everything I can to make it the best it can be. And that's all. I can't do more than that. So there's nothing to be critical of. I did my if you always give all of yourself and do your best, which you're capable of doing, I'm not suggesting that you're capable of doing more than you can do. But whatever it is that you can do, if you've given all of yourself to it, you've done your best, where could there be regret?
What I feel and what I like, and fortunately, I've been able to be in the studio with, these guys are genius as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? Snoop, Eminem, Cube, all these guys are genius as far as I'm concerned that have made me look good throughout my career.
When you first hear Eminem over your instrumental for that particular record, what does that feel like?
Man, it's amazing. You know what I mean? Because it's always refreshing to know that the artist that you're working with is going to enhance your track. It's something that you just kind of wait for, because and working with him is crazy. He never lets me hear what he's going to say until he gets on the mic.
Really though?
Yeah. So
are there times when you push away from the board or something? You're like, oh my Lord.
Yeah. My face has been in my hands on a numerous amount of times. You know what I mean?
Has there ever been a line or something where you just like, man, we can't, or you just let them get?
No, you gotta let the artist go, man. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Yeah.
So it's never been I won't ask you the line, but it's never been a time when you pulled them back or like, man, maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
We've had a couple of sidebars. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, this is pushing the envelope
like
here.
You know.
In the moment, I would be in the cloud, and if something good starts happening, it would trigger something in me like, uh-oh, I hope we're really doing this, because I don't know if we could ever do this again. That would be a thought of when the first time the real world would come into the picture would be something good is happening. Let's not lose it. I would say I rarely get to see the chaotic part of artists. For whatever reason, they rarely show it to me. And most of them, like most comedians I know, are much more serious about what they're doing than what it looks like from if you see them on stage. There's much more to it, and there's much more focus on craft going on and digging deep than would necessarily be obvious seeing them jump around on stage.
Looking at people that have made it in the business, you know, Quincy Jones, people like that, that's my mentor right there, because he started at a young age the same as I did, and he's still doing his thing and having fun with it. You know, it ain't about who has the flyest car, who has the most jewelry, you know. It ain't about that. It's about saving and preparing yourself for when your shit ain't happening no more, you know, because it's going to happen sooner or later. You know, you never know when, you know. When Dr. Dre falls off, if and when that happens, I'm cool. I'll never have to touch another button as long as I live, straight up. I'm cool, you know. And that's what you have to think. You have to say, okay, I know I'm gonna fuck off some money, so let me put this money over here to fuck off, right? And let me save this. Let me save this. Take care of your taxes, take care of all that shit. You gotta make sure you're prepared when the shit gets thick.
I love music. Rick loves music. Rick knows how to make records. I know how to make records. We have fun hanging out together. What's the problem? It's what we do.
It is fun to do it with someone you like, instead of yourself.
Yeah.
And someone will say, hey, what do you think of this? Which one do you like? I like this one. What do you think? It's nice to have someone to bounce off. Also, I imagine if you wrote the songs, having someone who didn't write the songs is helpful to just bounce off of, because all the other people listening to it didn't write the songs.
Yeah.
So it's more of a real world
Especially
reference.
when there's multiple yous writing the songs, and how do you even make a decision about?
Well, you know, you have to get them all together in one room. That's a problem, though.
That's a fucking
They don't
serious
like each
time
other.
we do
They
that,
don't
it
always
doesn't
like
always
each
work.
other. No.
Doesn't work.
Let's lock the door and
Doesn't
give
always
you
work.
an hour moment. If
You can never get them all together in one place.
It's like cats.
It's just a vibe I get, you know. Of course they have to have a serious talent, but sometimes you need a little bit more than that. You can have a person that's seriously talented and they can be an asshole, you know what I mean? So I have to find somebody that has a serious talent and I can vibe with them in the studio. The person that I work with, I have to see myself maybe leaving the studio and going out to eat with them and not being irritated, you know what I'm saying? And vice versa, they have to be able to get along with me and accept my personality, you know what I mean? So that's pretty much it for me. If we can vibe together, we can have fun together, and you have a talent, I'm gonna bring the best out of you and you're gonna be a hit.
It's really cool to experiment and try different ways, because you never know. Like, especially if you're really comfortable doing it one way, trying it a different way will at least lead to something different, and then you can decide whether it's good or not. Especially as you make more stuff, it can be more about finding ways to not make the same thing.
Right.
So sometimes switching methods switches it up.
What are you going to dedicate yourself to? The art or the money? You know, it's that simple.